Welcome to the Secure Your Energy Show, where we have real life conversations with real life people. My name is Michael Gibson. My company is Fortress Power. Our show explores the solar and energy storage market. We air bi-weekly at 11 a.m. If you would like to be a guest on a Secure Your Energy Show, please visit us at bit.ly/Secure Your Energy Show. Today, our guest is Shop Solar Kits. I'm very excited to have these guys on the show. We're going to have a great time, and we're going to get started. I'm going to bring both of them onto the stream, and we're gonna get this party started on the road. So, Mr. Alex Smith, I know he's not the quarterback because he probably wouldn't be interviewing with me right now, but he might have some skill that I don't know about. And we got Mr. Max Marshall from Shop Solar Kits. Thank you guys for coming on to the show today. I greatly appreciate you guys being here. We got a few fun things planned today. We haven't had three people on the screen at the same time, so it's just a little bit different. So bear with me as I get through this today with these guys. So we got a few topics, but the first thing that I wanted to talk about is how did you guys get into the industry?
For sure. Thanks for having us on the podcast here, Michael. This is great. So I'll just jump right in here. Alex and I guess we met in university. We've been kind of entrepreneurial, starting online businesses for many years now. And I guess in early 2018, we saw kind of the opportunity in the renewable kind of off-grid space. So we jumped on and made kind of a marketplace here for everything to do with battery backup and off-grid solar. And have just kind of been off to the races since 2018. As I say, multiple e-commerce based businesses, and then this one has really been taking hold for us. That's how it's been. Do you have anything else to add, Alex?
No, yeah, it's basically sums it up. Almost 3 years now. It's kind of been crazy. The business has definitely evolved from where we kind of started to where we're at now, and kind of the different products and kits and stuff. But yeah.
Well, it seems kind of a bold move. You know, for me, I'm just gonna talk about me for a second. Y'all here, but y'all gonna have a private thought. Really, an online business? That seems like a big. To say we met at university, and then we went to an online business. I mean, really, who? Not to put you on the spot. Who led that effort? Really, was it both of you kind of saying this is what I want to do, or just online business? It just seems like a lot to get into. Who spearheaded that thought, or both of y'all?
I mean, I'll just say here that Alex is probably a little bit more of this, definitely online based, pushing this forward. I would say we're both fairly entrepreneurial and stuff like this, but it just kind of seemed the natural progression as well. Like e-commerce and renewable energy seems like the way of the future, and we had been starting online businesses and stuff for a while, so it felt like a natural evolution. I would say though that Alex probably pushed it forward with kind of leaning into the e-commerce and online space. He's spearheaded that for sure.
And go ahead.
I was going to say, since you've been doing this business, now you've been doing it for the past 3 years. What are the how has the customer's mindset changed? Like, what have you seen changes, and what are main reasons why customers are calling you?
For sure. I can kind of spearhead that one. Really, the biggest thing, Max and I were chatting about this before the show, and it's kind of like, 3 years ago when we were first getting into this, it was kind of like the customers weren't really sure even if solar was going to work, if it was a thing. I remember when we were getting into it, my parents were even kind of like, so solar really works? Like, that's actually a thing, eh? Like, not even really totally sure on it. And now, just in 3 short years, you've got way more phone calls. Customers are way more educated. They know it's going to work. They're more trying to figure out which system makes the most sense or which brand makes the most sense. So that like education process, it's still there, of course, but you're noticing it that the customers have way more access to content. They know it's a thing. It's just been crazy to see. Feels like with COVID and everything else that's happened, it's even just kind of propelled that even forward even quicker. So it's been super interesting, and it's been great for business too, really.
Yeah, we just like the adoption of kind of renewable energy and people thinking about off-grid more and more. It's, as Alex touched on just at the beginning, having to explain so much stuff, and people now have access to everything kind of at their fingertips. And yeah, it's just been a great evolution of the entire industry. I'm sure you guys know that as well.
Let me ask this question. Who actually is buying these batteries? I mean, who's actually shopping for solar? I know there's a myth that, it's like, the doomsday preppers preparing for solar. It's just wackadoodles out there preparing for solar. I mean, I'm not a wackadoodle. I'm in the industry, but
Yeah.
I know there's a misconception about people and solar. So what type of people actually are purchasing from Shop Solar Kits?
Yeah. I mean, so it would wackadoodles, if you call them that, for sure. You get the people that those people are there for sure. As much as you say, misconception and stuff, we get those people. But I think it's moved from like less of you. You don't have to be crazy to think that you should go solar. There's actually so much climate change issues, the grid failing all the time. The amount of customers that call and say, I'm losing my power 4 or 5 times.
It just happened in Texas too.
Right. Yeah. That only propels it. And so you get these customers that are like, maybe we should be doing the battery backup, but maybe they actually kind of feel like they're crazy. And a lot of what we do is like, no, you're not at all. It makes total sense. And so we kind of serve those like 3 main kind of, customer avatars, if you will, which is the emergency preparedness, which I would say those kind of like the preppers kind of fall into that category, but it's all more generalized emergency preparedness now. You've got your off-grid living. I'm building a cabin. I'm building a home. I don't want to pay to have the utility company come out and, pay X amount to them to then have a monthly bill. I'll just invest one time up front, build my system and be off the grid that way. And then we don't dabble in it as much, but it is definitely an industry. And I'm sure you guys see that a lot, is like, trying to offset some of their electrical bill. They have solar panels on their roof already, and they either realized or didn't realize that, holy crap, I've solar panels on my roof, but if the power goes out, I don't have any. I'm still relying on the grid. So those are more like installer, like we don't deal with that as much in the e-commerce space, because we have the DIY customer kind of coming to us. So it's definitely those like emergency preparedness, off-grid living, and then a little bit of the off-grid offsetting their electrical bill.
Yeah, and in the off-grid living too, you also get people who kind of have unique mobile lifestyles as well, living on a boat maybe, or living in an RV or a van. A lot of people need batteries for that, and solar panels and kits for that as well.
Speaking of RV, little plug, since it is the Secure You Energy Show, we do have a battery for that market. Just in case, this is just a shameless plug. Since I am the host, I get to
love it.
Shameless plug things. We have an eFlex 5.4 kilowatt hour battery that works perfectly in the mobile, telecom, and even home backup space. But getting back onto topic, you know what I'm saying? So when you come to e-commerce, how has COVID really impacted you? Because, I mean, you weren't a brick and mortar store. So being online, did COVID specifically, what did it do to your business?
So I'll take this to start here, and Alex, jump in at any point. But there's been 2 main things. Initially, when it was happening, the big freak out, everybody's running to the store to secure toilet paper and stuff. Yeah, the world's ending. It felt like it just was exponential growth at that point as well. Everybody I want battery backup. I need to get off the grid. The world's ending, all these kind of things. And so everybody wanted battery backup and to be able to sustain themselves, because it just felt like the world was ending and nobody knew. To couple on with that, we're still feeling it now. It was incredibly difficult to get product into the country and then to customers as well. So getting product to our warehouses was insanely difficult. You'll sell out in the first month and a half to 2 months when COVID is really ramping up. And then getting it through the ports, like I'm sure you guys are experiencing it as well. Long Beach in California, it takes months to get things through the port. And so you have an incredible demand for the products and extremely difficult time getting it to customers. Has created it's exciting, a lot of demand. Everybody wants it. Everybody's now understanding the value and the importance of having these kind of things. But difficult time getting it to customers. So it's been funny. It's blown up. It's made the whole industry a lot more kind of in the spotlight. People are understanding the power of all these kind of things, but very difficult to get it to them as well.
Which in the beginning, though, I remember kind of with talking with Max being like, oh, this is crazy. For the first few months, we were like, we're not really feeling these supply chain effects. We're just like we're getting tons of sales and everything is going well. But it was like May, June, all of our suppliers started selling out. Products started to that kind of initial craze ate up all that stock. And kind of, so it was like in the beginning, we were kind of like, oh, this is good. And then it just kind of, and still to this day, feeling the effects of the supply chains for sure.
It's funny that you say that because it brought to mind, at the beginning of COVID, and I'm not going to go into a COVID conversation, but it was like
Yeah.
you couldn't find any toilet paper.
No.
Right.
So it's funny to think that, solar, the products that go along with it, how people were taking everything so seriously with that mindset where you didn't have the ability to run out of product, where a product was scarce. And I could speak for us personally. Definitely has been a challenge, with the tariff that got put in place, with the down staffing or understaffing of people just for safety reasons. COVID has definitely, changed the business as we know, but it actually has been a blessing in disguise because now some people get to work from home a little bit more
Yeah.
than before. And it gives us a little bit, the greatest change I think that had happened on us, to be honest, it allowed people to realize that we're human, that we could be touched. I think that has been probably the greatest impact to me on our business, because you actually have genuine conversations with people. Like a lot of times I'm calling customers and customers speaking to me. You didn't always have that undivided attention. Even though they were spending a lot of money, they still had a lot of time invested in doing other things. So yeah, I definitely can understand that. Now here's a question as a lithium battery provider, and since you are an online seller of goods, this is what I want to know. Do you mostly sell lithium batteries now, or do you still see a lot of demand for the AGM batteries?
Yeah, it's a great question, and something we carry both those products. When we first started out, a lot of just mainly AGM lithium price points to the consumer. They were kind of sticker shock, I think, a little bit. As we've seen that those prices fall, lithium is definitely coming up and starting to take the lead, I would say, over AGM. But we still sell a surprising amount of AGM, and I think customers, as we see the prices of lithium come down and meet it, you even see it. I was talking with the guy before the podcast, and he's like, it's just probably making more sense to go lithium now based on the price points. So, I mean, we sell more lithium than AGM, but we do still sell a lot of AGM batteries.
And with AGM too, and as we were talking earlier, with everybody kind of understanding about this industry a little bit more, if you treat AGMs well, you can get, a decent lifespan out of them too. So there's still a market for AGMs, but as Alex is alluding to here, as lithium comes down in price and becomes kind of price reasonable with AGM, like lithium, we're going to see way more sales moving forward.
I think one of the biggest things, when you look at the lithium versus AGM conversation, is that the thing about lithium, it allows you to have a little bit smaller systems. I mean, I talk to people that have, the AGM batteries, and it just requires more batteries. And a lot of that is just due to the depth of discharge issues that come with AGM. But obviously, it's at a more affordable price. But it doesn't last as long, even though it does have a good lifespan on it. So yeah, AGM batteries, there's a place for all of us, and that's what I like, that there is a place for all of us. Now I have a question for you guys. You've been in the market now, you're going on, a little bit of time. Where do you see yourself going, the battery industry actually going in 5 years?
Yeah, it's a good question here. Basically, we see it as lithium as the future. If you boil it all down to that, there's some exciting stuff maybe coming out with hydrogen batteries and solid state batteries and stuff. But the new kids on the block is lithium and lithium ion specifically. So that is just where it's going right now. There's no question. It's taking over, and it's becoming, as we were just talking a second ago, way more cost effective for customers to make that kind of initial purchase anyway. So basically in the future, we see lithium being the number one. Potentially, as you can see in California as well, new houses need to have solar panels on it. Maybe there'll be a future where every house needs to have some type of battery backup system. Who knows? But it's definitely, as it stands right now, a lithium future. That's what we're seeing. That's what I'm thinking anyway.
I agree with that. And I also think, Michael, you mentioned, the overall size of the system. I think we'll see, hopefully, and confidently, that the size of the lithium batteries will continue to get even smaller and smaller. And we'll probably be laughing about, the kilowatt hours and the size of the battery, and what you can get in kilowatt hours and the size of the battery in just another 5 years. I'm sure of it.
It's kind of like what your cell phones used to be when you watch an old movie. When a guy had a car phone, it was like this big block, and he was something special dialing it.
Exactly.
Never imagine. Now I mean, I know we got the bigger screens on some of these phones, but
Mhm.
you could carry a phone. You can literally carry a computer. And one of the things that has drastically changed, I can see happening, is like your screens on TV. It used to be, you had these huge TV screens,
Mhm.
Right.
and
Fat
it was
boxes.
big fat boxes, and you thought you were the man because you had, a few lines of resolution, and now you got
Yeah.
screens that are like this thin, literally,
Right.
with a
Yeah.
million lines of resolution. So yeah, I'm excited to see where it's going. I think overall the industry is moving in the right direction because lithium itself is a very safe chemistry. I know there's different levels of
Mhm.
chemistry inside of
Mhm.
the lithium family, but it's a very safe chemistry and not a lot of maintenance. So that changes the game because it's not a lot of maintenance.
Yeah, you remember the old flooded lead acid batteries? You have to put distilled water and scrape it down and stuff like it's like the Stone Age is thinking about those kind of technologies now. So yeah, it's incredible.
You can feel it with customers too. Like, I joke with customers when they're going from AGM to lithium. They're like, I feel like it's a literal weight off my shoulder because I'm shaving like a 500-pound battery bank for like 75 pounds of lithium. This is just crazy. And I'm like, yeah, you're literally and figuratively a weight off your shoulders. The
Yeah,
Yeah.
maintenance and the just the pure weight of the old batteries.
absolutely.
Well, it's funny because growing up, the mindset of a battery, and when I started to work with Fortress Power, how my mind shift just totally changed because we have big batteries. We have an 18.5 kilowatt hour battery, and
Mhm.
when I first heard about it, I was thinking like, man, how big is this thing? That's like my mind just was going back to the other batteries that I seen other people had, and I just thought it was going to be some huge system, and it really is just looks like a little compact fridge.
Yeah.
So it's amazing the changes, and just to kind of segue into that battery that I was mentioning is our eVault battery. Which
Mhm.
inverter do you find is most popular with the eVault offering?
I mean, for us, it's by far the Solarc, the 12K probably. We actually have a kit on our website. It's like 2 eVaults and a Solarc 12K. That kind of seems to be the one that a lot of customers are calling about. It's pretty hard to beat the Solarc. It's got all the bells and whistles, everything like that. It's
Mhm.
a made in Texas company, so lots of phone calls coming out of the south for the Solarc.
The
And
odd
yeah,
Outback, maybe Schneider and stuff, but yeah, as Alex alludes to, it's mostly the Solar, I would say, for us
for
anyway.
sure. And I think Fortress actually has positioned it nicely as well, the Solarc on their website as a really solid option. So I mean that helps us as well and stuff because customers are already calling. Again, back to that, they're already educated usually when they're touching us, and they've kind of narrowed it down and just need to kind of verify that they're under the right line of thinking, basically.
Mhm.
Well, as you stated, we do work with all three manufacturers that you mentioned: the Outback, the Schneider, and Solar. We work with other manufacturers, but yeah, Solar has been a nice pairing for us in the lithium solar storage space. And one of the
Mhm.
reasons that it's a nice pairing, speaking of that inverter, is just simply because it's all in one. It has everything. You don't need to add, the charge controller. It has the breaker. It does communication. So it does pair very well, and it makes for easy installs for most of our customers. So it is a very popular unit that we do see paired with the eVault. And given the capacity of the eVault, I mean, it speaks for itself. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes people will say, they have the biggest battery, and I'm like, well, have you seen our battery?
Right.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
There's
18.5 kilowatts, man. It's huge.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
And what I find very interesting, and I don't know if you get these type of questions on your site. A lot of times, people will want to compare our units to other ones. So they'll say like, well, give a comparison. If I have two of these, I need two of yours. And I'm like, well, you don't really need two of mine. 18.5 kilowatt hour is sufficient for most homes. Obviously, having more battery gives you more days off
Mhm.
grid, but
Mhm.
18.5 is a nice size battery.
It's
That's
massive.
huge.
It's
Yeah. In
massive.
comparison to the other options too that customers are looking at. I think that's the calls we are usually getting is like, holy cow, I see this eVault here. This thing's massive. Can you kind of tell me about it? Because they're realizing that they don't have to worry about doing two of something else. They could just
Mhm.
do one with one Solarc. And yeah, we get that DIY customer that's like, I could actually probably install this thing myself too. And then they're just seeing dollar signs for savings, basically.
Big time.
I think that dollar sign saving is also immaterial, but also in time spent. If you look at it,
True.
when it's just one battery, and I know we as Fortress, we have a smaller battery that requires multiple, but if you have the space to put the eVault in, it just makes sense to put it in because you're not having multiple bus bars, you're not having all this stuff. You're just able to put that battery in.
Clean.
So simple. Yeah.
So I have a next question that I want to ask you, and this is, what sort of impact do you see China have on the lithium batteries?
For sure. I mean, as they kind of took over for PV manufacturing, I think Alex and I are in agreement. I think I foresee that happening as well. They're kind of the biggest manufacturer and distributor of lithium as it stands right now. I know Tesla and Elon they've got something in Nevada, a mine for lithium as well. But I mean, they are the number one exporter and manufacturer of lithium, so they have a big impact on the industry in general. And we're also seeing a lot of our customers wanting American-made products, stuff like this, and just letting them know that there are fantastic quality products coming out of China. This is where the vast majority of lithium is right now and will be for the foreseeable future. So just kind of educating people that China is going to have a big impact on the lithium industry moving forward, and to just know that there are fantastic quality products coming out of China as it stands right now. And they are going to own the lithium industry, I believe, here for the next at least 5 to 10 years.
In saying that, I mean, obviously we would love to see an American-made brand pop up, or see the U.S. start kind of joining in the party. We do have a ton of demand for it. We get a lot of phone calls. We're proponents of that. We would love to see it and look for ways. But as Max is alluding to, it's extremely hard to compete with the quality now that China's putting out and the price point. So I mean, I think the biggest thing that we're proponents of, we don't really care where it comes from as long as it's quality. We're going to look at it. We're going to and if it's quality, it's good. Do you have to pay attention and make sure that if you're going to go on AliExpress or something and try and buy a random lithium battery or lithium cells, then the quality could be hit or miss. But there is quality stuff coming out of there. It'd be great to see more stuff happening in the US, but I'm not sure. It might be too far gone at this point. Potentially, we'll see, I guess.
Well, I think what you said is so key, because I have a lot of people that say, "I'll just buy direct. What do I need you for? I'll just buy direct." I always caution people, be careful what you ask for, because buying direct or versus buying from a place like your Shop Solar Kits, or buying from the manufacturer, there are always levels of security that happens when you buy from credible places. I'm not saying those places are not credible, but I know lead time, returns, being able to get somebody on the phone, you got to consider all of that when you're purchasing products.
Yeah, you might be buying grade B cells when you think you're buying grade A cells. It could be already used for 4,000 cycles and they're putting it in another battery. You don't necessarily know all that. So I completely agree with that.
And with safety concerns, right, Michael? You talk a lot about the safety of lithium and stuff, and it's just like we're dealing with. I always tell that to customers. If you're going to try and maybe cheap out on your panels or cheap out, there's other places to cheap out on, quote unquote, than your battery bank. I mean, that is not a place that you necessarily want to be cutting corners, safety reasons, and you're going to be even if you try and do it yourself, you're going to be investing a ton of money. And like you say, if you have no recourse, no one to get on the phone with, no one to deal with, I mean, it's generally, obviously we advise against it, but
the vast majority of your cost of your system is going to be your battery bank right now. So why cheap out on that? As Alex is saying.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is like one of the most expensive parts is the batteries, and also as you alluded to earlier when you said about Texas. Well, what good is a battery if it's not reliable when you need it?
Right.
And for me, I mean, I'm not Rockefeller. I mean, I got a nice shirt today, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not Rockefeller or anything. And if I'm going to invest this type of money, I want to make sure, as you stated, Max, tier 1 distributor, because people don't realize that, there's different levels of lithium.
Big time.
And inside of the chemistry, there's different level of cell manufacturers of those batteries. So you could be going to a tier 1 on the manufacturer of lithium, or you could be going to a tier 2 or a tier 3. So it's definitely, to me, not worth it. Now I Go ahead, Max.
Well, I was just going to say, and like with the life cycles on lithium, it's incredible, right? They can 6,000 plus cycles sometimes, but like you can also take out those cells from a used battery and put them in another battery. And so you might, and then it'd be sold that way. So you might be expecting that you're going to get your 6,000 cycles, but actually these cells are coming from a battery that's already been cycled 5,000 times. So you're just not going to get that. So it does make sense to not cheap out on the battery aspect of your system. If you're going to be investing in it, invest properly in the battery bank.
So we're going to move to another question, and this is one that I'm seeing a growing demand, and it's EVs. EV, short for electrical vehicle, just in case you didn't know. How do EV? I know you knew, but our guests.
Yeah,
For sure,
absolutely.
How do EVs factor into the renewable energy and solar power space?
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously they're taking off right now. Tesla and NIO in China. There's tons of EV companies popping up and stuff. So we get a number of calls every day about people basically wanting. It's kind of like the ultimate off-grid dream, right? Is you have your solar panels on your roof, you got your big, e-volts or your battery bank at home, and then you can charge up your EV from your kind of off-grid system. You can just zip around, your energy completely independent there. So yeah, we get tons of calls about that. People wanting to be able to charge their EVs via solar, or making a little solar shed with batteries, right? That just charges itself, and then you use that for your EV. Similarly, people are realizing that, oh wow, I've got an 80 to 100 kilowatt hour battery essentially sitting in my driveway, and if the grid goes down, can I backfeed this into my house if the grid goes down and use some of that energy? So yeah, I mean, there's tons of really cool stuff happening around EVs, and it's just a very cool time in the whole space right now with EVs. Tesla obviously leading the way, but then just so many other pop-ups companies coming right now. It's very exciting.
I think it's interesting because I don't know if we didn't necessarily see the correlation. We're just seeing it now with all the phone calls, but it's just interesting that someone buys an EV and then their natural mindset is like, I should take my EV and build my own off-grid solar charging station for this thing, and that would just be super cool. So it's kind of interesting how that consumer, that's their next natural thought process. There's really maybe they didn't even think about solar beforehand, but now that I own this EV, this feels like the next place to invest my cash, which is probably great for the future, right, of clean energy and solar adoption and everything. If someone's going to get into an EV and then start to naturally think about solar, it's going to be good for everyone.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been a fast 30 minutes. So we got 3 minutes. Now you can go a little overtime if you want to, but we got 3 minutes. And what I want to ask is, in the final couple of minutes is, what's your vision for Shop Solar Kits in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing for us and what we've been doing all along, but what we want to continue doing is just like take the friction out of going solar. Our mission is like make solar simple for everyone. You call us, we're not dropping condescending lingo or trying to make, just trying to make things super simple. And so it's kind of, leaning into more custom kits, helping customers have one-click options to just be able to say, hey, this is what I need, this is what I want to run, and this is the kit for me. So definitely leaning into the storage aspect as well with e-vaults and building out more complete systems. One thing we've been doing, we've seen happening now as we've been on with Fortress and Solarc, as kind of customers saying, hey, I see you got this and this, what sort of solar panels would go well with this, and what racking would I need to add on to it. So it's probably getting more bigger scale kits like that customers can just kind of go and check out, and boom, they've got battery backup on their house.
Yeah, you summed it up perfectly. Basically, we'll be your partner for anything you need to do solar, and we'll make it simple for you, because there's still, as much as we're talking, customers understand and know a lot more about solar. It still can feel kind of overwhelming if you want to back up your house and get panels and go off grid. And so we'll just make it simple. That's kind of the whole vision, is just simplifying this for customers moving forward for renewable energy adoption.
Well, I want to say thank you. We're going to have to do this again because this 30 minutes kind of flew by. But I want to thank both of you for tuning in and just spending some time out of your busy schedule, because I know that you guys, are out there saving the world one solar kit at a time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for having us, Michael. Thanks for setting this up. That was great.
It's been a pleasure.
I greatly appreciate it. And again, this is Shop Solar Kits. Please check them out. Buy their stuff, make them sell out of solar kits, specifically batteries.
Exactly.
And then so you can go battery, inverter, panel, and rack in that order. I know you want to do it in reverse,
Right.
but I might be a little biased. You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
just a little bit. But thank you
Love
again,
it.
guys.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You've been watching the Secure Your Energy show, and this is your host, Michael Gibson. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please check us out. Visit us at bit.ly/secure your energy show. And we greatly appreciate you, and we thank you for your time. And you all know what to do.